Moving over to video number 2 now. I attended a really interesting meeting this week, online, a Zoom meeting. It's basically a subgroup of the Autism Partnership Board. I attend the Autism Partnership Board, and I've attended it for years now. The Autism Partnership Board is a board in, basically, if you're not in the UK, if you're in the UK and you're autistic, you probably know what I mean, but I'll just explain it anyway quickly. The Autism Partnership, in every area there should be an Autism Partnership Board. And they were set up because of the Autism Act, back in, was it 2009, 2010, the Autism Act, which says that every area needs to have like an autism board to kind of make sure the Act is being followed. The Autism Act was one of the first disability pieces of legislation in the UK, which is meant to ensure that every area has autism provision and certain codes and things that needs to be followed. So that's why every area should have an Autism Partnership Board. And I attend one such board where stakeholders attend it, so autistic people, carers, people from the council, people from other organisations attend it, so on. Anyway, so I've been attending that for years. It used to be in person, now it's all online, thankfully. But yeah, a subgroup was set up from the Autism Partnership Board to specifically look at mental health issues in autism and how mental health services in the area can be improved via quality checking and things like that. And I mentioned my issue with direct payments and a lack of flexibility, and this was put on the agenda. So I attended the meeting the other day. I only attended the first half an hour because I follow very strict routines, and unfortunately the meeting was a little bit late in the day, which was going to interfere with my cooking routine. I wasn't going to attend because it was too late, and then because this was on the agenda, I thought, well, I put it on the agenda, I have to attend. So I forced myself to attend just for the first half an hour because it would be a bit weird, because I had put the direct payment thing on the agenda, so I had to attend, you know what I mean? So, and I'm glad I did, because it was quite interesting. A senior commissioning manager from Lifelong Services, Learning Disabilities and Autism from the County Council was there, and she listened to all I had to say. And there was also someone, I think, from Mental Health Commissioning, if I remember correctly. And they all were really interested in what I was saying about the lack of flexibility. And then someone else from a local charity said that apparently a lot of people are having the same issues as what I'm having, and are finding that direct payments have become increasingly rigid in the last couple of years. That I think about like 3 to 4 years ago, apparently it was a lot less rigid and people could spend their direct payments a lot more flexibly, but now there's a lot more oversight from the council as to how they can be spent, and like really ensuring that that they can only spend it on things that are in their care plan, and clawing the money back or asking for the money back if a person has spent it on anything other than what's in the care plan. And that goes completely against the whole point of direct payments, which is meant to be that they're flexible and give the person control, and that social services are supposed to give that person choice and not be so controlling. So it's going completely against the whole point of direct payments, and that was really interesting. It shows I'm not the only person facing this issue. And yeah, apparently, like say 3-4 years ago, it would have been perfectly fine for someone to spend it on a cleaner or something, but now they're like saying no, because if it's not in the care plan, they're getting a lot more kind of strict about what the person can spend it on. If you ask me, it's all about cuts, but it's quite blatant and obvious really when you think about it. It can only be one interpretation. But yeah, this person from high up in a council did listen to what I had to say, and seemed very understanding actually. But she said that apparently some other they are going to be introducing some other scheme. I can't remember exactly what it's called, personal budgets or something. But she said it's meant to be more flexible than direct payments. That'll be an interesting experience. When that one arises, I really want to jump onto that, and it'll be interesting to see whether I'm allowed a cleaner on that scheme. That'd be interesting, or if they're going to be just as rigid in that. Yeah, I did mention the fact I thought it was stonewalling, when they said I could spend my benefits on it. And I said that's stonewalling because they could say exactly the same thing for pretty much everything that social services are supposed to provide. It's just kind of in a way annulling their responsibility. And also, of course, benefits are a really, really small amount of money that's meant to cover food, heating, electricity, all the other disability costs that come from being autistic. There's not much there to accommodate a cleaner on top of all of that, and a cleaner is a social care issue. It's social care. It's a social issue, is what social services should be providing, because it comes down to basic risk and safeguarding. You know, if you can't clean your house properly, that's a risk. That comes down to, that should be under social care. And I did say that. And yeah, because the social worker did say at the last meeting that there were clear risks, and he said there were some executive functioning issues. It's more than some, by the way, it's very severe. But he did admit there were risks, and so, and I think now he has spoken to my dad that might potentially put the odds in my favour a bit, like he's got more information now. So I'm just going to have to see what the outcome of that is. But yeah, as I say, the meeting I attended the other day was very interesting, because it goes to show I'm not the only person with this problem. And the person from the Mental Health Commission who said I should be allowed to spend it on a cleaner, particularly as people in other parts of the country are allowed to do so, and she didn't understand why West Sussex was any different. And I was like thinking, yes, yes, yes. So it's very vindicating for me. And also a parent carer there was saying how her autistic daughter really struggles to have support workers in the house, because obviously it takes up, because being autistic, it uses up the social battery, you know, and it's stressful having people around, and she needs to be flexible, and she wants more flexibility. Now she can spend her direct payments just like me, and they should really be accommodating that. And I was like, yeah, exactly, you know, exactly it. Having a cleaner is less exhausting for me, because having support workers in the house is stressful. Having someone who could just do the cleaning, you know, when I can be out and trust them to do it, is far better for me. And I also made a point, of course, it actually saves the council money, because I'll need less support overall. So that was interesting as well. In your comments, I just want to briefly do them. One of you said that you feel that literacy is at the heart of it. If I said I'd found benefit forms difficult as I struggle to read them due to literacy problems, I would be treated more supportively. Yeah, I think that is true. So if I couldn't read or couldn't write, I definitely agree, I probably would be given more support. But because I can write really good emails, and I do have a flair for language, people think that I should be able to fill out benefit forms. They don't seem to understand the spiky profile of autism, and that just because you can write well in one context doesn't mean you can write in another context. So yeah, I do agree with you there. And you said that at the other end, you hear of savants who can do complex maths but can't boil a kettle, and oddly, people find that easy to accept, but they struggle to accept a person who is literate can also have major deficits that can't be overcome by just trying harder. So yeah, I agree. There is that oversight, definitely. Another one of you said that you find a strengths-based approach is frightening, and as it could become so easy for people to weaponise things that you are good at in order to justify not granting support. Completely agree. I think the strengths-based approach is a code for cuts. I completely agree. And you also point out, in reference to my problem with that ex-social worker on Facebook who was quite rude to me, when he didn't get that writing online has got nothing to do with non-verbal communication. You write that it is exactly the absence of non-verbal communication when writing that makes online communication one of the formats in which autistics are put on a level playing field with non-autistics, absolutely. So yeah, writing, doing YouTube videos like what I'm doing now, if you're a highly verbal autistic but who has really profound social problems, this is one of the ways in which you can be put on a more level playing field, because it's one-way communication, it's verbal, there's no non-verbal involved. You're then okay, because if verbal is a strength, it takes away that non-verbal problem. So absolutely. Another one of you makes a point about a shrinking pie, you know, like less resources to go round and stuff. And I did reply to your comment. I know I personally disagree, because I feel that there is more than enough resources to go around. I don't think the pie is shrinking. I think it's all about ideology, and I think unfortunately it's because right-wing ideology is currently ascendant, and it's all about priorities. And as another one of you put, you know, Tory tax cuts for the wealthy, you know, there are Tory tax cuts for the wealthy, and also they give a lot of money to their big business friends. So the limited pot money argument is absolutely absurd, because there's clearly enough to go around. It's just ideology and priorities at the end of the day. And another one of you said that you don't think the generally left-wing neurodiversity movement knows that it's benefiting the Tory spending cuts, but that is their unfortunate outcome. So yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, always talk about autism just being a quirky difference and not a disability can have that result, absolutely, and it's unintended, I think, because as I agree, I think most of the people in the neurodiversity movement are on the left of the spectrum, but unfortunately, this can have that consequence. And another one of you says, but in the US, where you're from, USA, that you have guardianship for individuals incapable of making decisions. So guardianship is quite an extreme sort of situation where the person has someone else making pretty much all decisions for them. But guardianship is forgone when only control of finances is needed, and instead a conservatorship is used, or medical care, which is power of attorney. So that's interesting. My dad has power of attorney over me, which means he doesn't have a power to make decisions, but he basically can sort of he does have the power to like speak to sort of doctors and things like that, which I find stressful, and other things, and fill out forms because he's got power of attorney. So. And you said that you think what really is needed is long-term case manager, someone external to the benefit system who will have my best interests in mind, who will complete forms if unable. So yeah, exactly, that's exactly what I need. I need an external case manager. I personally don't understand why someone from social services, why a social worker can't just fill out the forms for me. I really do not understand what the problem is there, but again, I think it's because they're underfunded, there's not enough of them, and yeah, for them to do that, they need to be funded, because I can't be the only one. And you say yourself, you have a lot of anxiety because you're moving to a state that refuses to provide any services, developmental disabilities or mental health, to autistics with an IQ above 70. Yeah, that is absolutely absurd. I don't understand that myself either, why that would be the case. You recently had a counsellor tell you that she didn't believe you were autistic, but then spent the next half hour complaining about all your autistic traits. That's absolutely awful. I personally, by the way, if someone said that to me, I would have basically told them where to go, because I do not take that crap. Like, in fact, I've never had someone say that to me. I've been lucky. I know there are some really rude people out there, but I literally would give them peace of my mind. Like, no joke, and I would also complain, because that is incredibly rude, and that is, I would say, unprofessional, actually. If you've got an autism diagnosis, you know, no one has that right to do that. Yeah, very rude of them. And yeah, you say that so many people think that the mark of true autism is being unable to speak. Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, there is a very extreme lack of understanding of verbal autism, and that really does need to change. And yeah, you're currently reading a book called Adults on the Autism Spectrum, Belief and Nest, Achieving Supported Independence, and you recommend that book. And like me, you are very verbal but have a lot of problems. So that's interesting, so thank you for that. And I hope you enjoyed watching. So thank you all very much.